If you take the money itself, right? So the 250 billion in direct investments that companies like TSMC are going to be making, and then the 250 billion in credits that the government of Taiwan will potentially provide. 500 billion in new investment into the United States from Taiwan. That's more than Taiwan companies have ever invested, I think, over the entire span of U.S.-Taiwan history. And so it's a pretty big deal. It's significant, I think, for the future of the U.S.-Taiwan economic relationship. The other big thing is because of the scope of this and how large this investment and the deal itself is going to be. I mean, this might be the closest thing that the United States and Taiwan ever have to a bilateral trade agreement. And I know that we negotiated the 21st Century Trade Initiative under the Biden administration, and that got to a few non-tariff barrier issues. This gets to trade at its core. And it goes beyond that by focusing on investment and the future of our supply chains. It's a greater cohesion between our economies as more Taiwanese companies invest in the United States. And Taiwan companies gradually become like what Japanese companies are in the United States, which is an integral part of the American economy. Whenever private companies like TSMC make these sort of announcements, there's always a lot of calls for government oversight or a lot of concern that the security of Taiwan's industry is going to fall apart. I don't believe that's going to happen at all. Many experts, industry experts, expect the demand for these ICT products to just continue to explode over the next 10 years. So really, this isn't going to replace Taiwan at all. Taiwanese companies are going to be very successful operating in the United States. The manufacturing capacity that is happening within Taiwan is still going to remain, and there's going to continue to be a reliance on Taiwan as a manufacturing hub. The future is going to be greater integration between our economies. It's going to be fueling American manufacturing and our national security concerns about having greater domestic production, but also supporting Taiwanese companies while also supporting their manufacturing back home.
The trade deal is a very positive development in the U.S.-Taiwan relationship. I think that, obviously we've had a number of disagreements with Taiwan on trade matters for a number of years, going back to the first Trump administration. I think this deal signals the fact that President Trump and his team are committed to the U.S. strategic partnership with Taiwan that's both economic as well as strategic. And so I'm looking forward to seeing the relationship continue to grow now that we've gotten some of these economic issues, I think, to a better place. The concerns that the U.S. has had for some time about semiconductor imports to the United States, I think this goes a long way toward relieving some of those concerns. And it positions the U.S. and Taiwan to focus on what I would argue is the main area of interest between the two, which is security. I think there's a huge opportunity for the U.S. and Taiwan to focus on strengthening our partnership on security, strengthening our regional collaboration and deterrence in the Indo-Pacific. That's a great signal, I think particularly a signal to Beijing that the U.S. remains steadfast under the TRA and under the Six Assurances. Our relationship with Taiwan continues and will expand as it did in his first term. And I think one of the important things about the security relationship is that we're beginning to have a U.S.-Taiwan partnership that's separate from the relationship with the PRC. And so President Trump, I think, is showing that he's having a discussion with Xi Jinping probably in April about a number of issues in that bilateral relationship, but that is not dependent on the U.S.-Taiwan relationship, that we are able to have two very different discussions, and Taiwan is not treated, as it was for so many years, as just another part of the China relationship. And I think that's a really big improvement.